Hello, mini makers. Today we're going to be making a Viking longboat. So we're going to be kind of going off a reference to make the body of the ship. We're not going to follow it one for one because we want to make it easy to be printed. But to begin with, this is a good way if you want to make something like that exists in real life and that thing has blueprints. A good way is to just start with that and then modify later. I'm gonna move it slightly. Yeah, that doesn't matter. Okay, so you can just get a plane. There's also a north and south here. So I imported two pictures by just going Shift A, image, reference, and then I found the references, put them in, and then I just rotated this one. It comes like this. I rotated it 90 degrees. Okay, so now we have our reference here. Just take this plane in X-ray mode. So go into edit mode, then go into X-ray mode using Alt-Z. And then I'm just gonna move this across that. I'm actually gonna go until the moment where it stops really curving. Okay. Another version or another. We're gonna exclude that edge over. Up. Then exclude another edge. That. And then I'm gonna take my plane. Gonna hit A to select my entire plane. Gonna move it over the Y slightly here. Make sure that, yep, okay. So now I'm going to take my vertices and just move them in the Y by selecting GY. That. Okay. So that kind of makes the body portion. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add some more bits here. I'm going to slide them, select them, and then slide them by double clicking on G over, kind of getting a better shape. That. And I'm going to here. So there is one side. So I'm just gonna hit mirror so I can mirror this across Y. Apply. I'm not gonna apply scale. I'm gonna apply rotation. Mirror it across the Y like that. You can just mirror it. No. Okay. So I'm just gonna do the same thing to the other side. Left with the point stops curving. Just do this to both sides. So I prefer to move using I click on it in G, and then I typically go X to move in the X, Z to move in the Z. I very rarely move without moving in a cardinal direction. Not cardinal. I don't know what the term is. Orthogonal? Maybe. I don't know. So I'm gonna. So these look like they're I'm gonna put these all slightly side of the boat, or on the outside. Except for something like this, because I want to move them at a diagonal. Okay. And then we're just gonna do the same thing to the other side here. The outside slightly there. Same thing here. I'm just doing the same thing for all of them, just moving them. So I'm adding loop cuts by hitting Control R. We're just doing that from above, so you don't really see the line get middle. That's what I did there. Just Control R. Click to add the loop cut, and then I'm just cut slightly. So that's roughly our body. Gonna add one loop here. Control R. One loop here. So that's kind of our body. I'm just gonna hit E to extrude and then Y. Turn on clipping. GY. That is our boat base. And I'm gonna just save, hitting Control S. So I'm going to import something 32mm model just to serve as some type of scale. This is my 32mm model. 32mm scale model. That's probably. I want. Let me get my 32mm base. Well. 30. Perfect. Okay. My 32mm scale model, my 32mm base. I want. So I'm gonna have to make this wider to fit the 32mm base. I also want 4 of these guys to fit on there. Let me just see if I can. Just good. Okay. There. Gonna add an overlay modifier. Two, 4. Okay, 4 people can fit in here pretty easily. 4 32mm models. That looks good to me. behind this. Here. And then there's one more thing that I can do. So I copied this, duplicated it. Let me just rotate this 90 degrees in the X. 70 degrees in the X. Rotate it in the Z 90 degrees there. You can either hit the mouse, the number pad to change the orthographic view. I miss you. It's something else. Okay, there we go. So now I'm gonna move it so that the bow is in the middle. Bow, I think that's down the center line here. To the edges. And then we can kind of just move them slightly so that they fit this kind of arc. Go from the side, kind of see it's a little messed up. I don't understand how this is supposed to work. Just gonna add that. So I'm adding an edge loop. Moving them slightly down in the T. Just G to slide the. I think it's gonna be something. Something closer as a kind of more natural there. So I just hid that. Move these over. I think what I'm going to do is delete this back half. That I'm just here lost the slide. So double click G, slide these up slightly. Maybe move the vertices down a little bit. Over. Let's just move them slightly. Get a shape that you kind of. Just gonna be messing with it for a little bit here. Not too long. Up there. Kind of like smoothish. That's better. It looks more like the bottom chip. Then add one there. Y slightly. Okay. So that's our ship. Gonna take this. Hit E here. Y. Clipping is enabled. It's going to stop at a certain point. I'm just gonna click on all these vertices, hit F to fill that. And the other side is already filled. So that's the base. Now I'm just gonna go, hey, how you doing? Gonna go ahead and solidify this. I think I have some bit vertice. Oh, okay. There we go. So this was overlapping slightly because it mirroring something twice. Oh, thank you. A Viking boat. I've been making Viking stuff this week, so decided to finish off the week making a Viking boat. Now I'm just surfaces to this a little bit smoother. And just solidify it slightly more. Okay, so that's the base of our boat. Let me add color to this. Go materials tab and add darker. Yeah, that's better. So now that we have that, we can bring up our blueprint again, slightly up here. And then we can either choose to do the same or we can use a curve. I'll probably go ahead and just do the same. So just add another plane. Oh, okay. Thank you for that. Let me see if I can edit my noise gate. Let me I had my settings locked in, and then all my settings restarted. So now I have to figure out what are. We'll see if that works. First. Okay, what about now? Okay, we're just gonna go with this. How about, yeah, okay, that's fine. I'll figure it out a little bit later. I moved it around. We'll see how that works. Thank you for letting me know, though. Okay, so we're gonna add a plane. Before we do that, we're just gonna move everything over. And we are going to X and move everything to the middle here. And now we can go ahead. Oh, thank you very much. Yeah, I have to go back and figure out the settings exactly. I have a lot of construction that happens around my house, so I'm really messing with it. Okay. We added the plane. Now we're gonna do this bottom part of the boat. Just add a plane, and then we can move it up in the Z dimension, and we can move it over about there, slide it up, and yeah, they're actually mowing the lawn outside right now, so hopefully it doesn't pick up too much of that. Do you do any 3D modeling or art stuff? Move this here. We're just gonna continue going up and down the model, just using E to exclude each time, adding edge loops, get some of that bend. Then we're just gonna take this entire side, that edge loops here, edge loops here, and then we're just gonna mirror this. Oh yeah, me too. I'm also very bad at hard surfaces. I don't do any product animation, but I'm very bad at hard surfaces. It's hard. Yeah, that's exactly how I feel. I wouldn't describe myself very skilled either, but I do enjoy using Blender. And then we can just mirror this. Boss. Okay, we're just gonna move this to the middle here. And then we're just gonna extrude it slightly with E. And then we're just going to set origin to geometry. Yeah, why not? Origin to geometry. Move it. That. Nope. Undo a couple steps. Okay, we're just gonna mirror across this plane instead. Turn on clipping. Oh yeah. So I have a question for you. I'm using Blender 4.2.9 and the other further future Blenders, like 4. The newest one, I guess 4.4 point whatever. Not the newest one because they just came out with 5. When I go to preferences and try to find like the other add-ons, like extra objects and stuff, I just can't find any of them. Like I used to use a bunch of them, like the 3D print one, extra objects, and like there's a bunch of add-ons that are just kind of gone from the native Blender like thing. Do you have any idea what's going on with that? If you've seen something like that? Oh no, I know. I'm just wondering if you are able to get all of your native add-ons. Like if you have a bunch of native add-ons from Blender and like they're still showing for you whenever you do use Blender. Okay. So we finished the bow portion. We're just gonna take both of these edge loops here. I'm gonna move this over the middle. Okay, we're just gonna move this. Yeah, we're just gonna move this over in the y to 0. Nope. Gonna move this all over. Did you decide to switch to get extensions or add-ons? I switched because I downloaded HardOps and it wasn't working with the Blender I was using, which was like 3 point something. And I've been using 3 point something for a while. Like it was like clashing my Blender each time I tried to use HardOps. And I'm like, you know what? Let me just switch over. And since then, I just haven't been able to see it. But yeah, HardOps is honestly amazing. I downloaded it, HardOps and Box Cutter, like a month ago, and I am wondering why I ever tried to even do any type of hard surface modeling without it. So I'm currently still doing, but it's fine. This is all for 3D printing anyway, so I don't need pristine topology or anything like that. Okay, so that's our bow. And then we're just going to subdivide surfaces. And then we're just going to move these faces down slightly in the Z. Yeah. I don't really switch Blender versions too often, but that's because I've noticed that like a lot of the changes are for like the other parts of Blender that I don't use a lot, which is like the geometry nodes and the textures and like compositing and rendering and stuff, and I don't really use that stuff often, so I don't find myself upgrading very often, which is, I guess, whatever. Kind of a shame. But that's the best thing about Blender. You can use it for so many things. Like, one program does all of this stuff. So we're going to go ahead and extrude this in the Z dimension like that. And then we're going to move some of these vertices down. That. I'm going to move it in the X over like that. I don't know if I like how that's going to turn out. No, that's too much. That's too much work for me. Well, not too much work for me. I don't know. Like, I can use Blender very fine enough without most of the add-ons. Like, one that's really annoying is the extra objects one. I may go to the website for that if they have a website for that, because like instead of just going and adding a vertex, so like you know how you can just add a vertex and then use a skin modifier to make like branches and whatnot. So now I have to add a cube, select all the vertices, and then go to merge vertices at center, then get a vertex, then use the skin modifier, and then use the subdivide surfaces modifier to make like a tree. You know, or like limbs. Oh, Lily! I probably typed that out. That's actually pretty... Okay, yeah, I'm probably going to do that as soon as I finish making this boat. Okay. I'm going to... What I think I'm going to do is I'm going to apply the mirror to this boat here. And then I may apply... I'm going to apply the solidify. And then I'm going to add some edge loops to really make these edges a bit sharper. So now they are slightly easier to print and also look a little bit more realistic. Well, that's not true. They look better. Okay. So when I'm 3D printing, I try not to go smaller than like 1 millimeter. In any significant area, and this is 3 millimeters. I also don't change the dimensions. Okay, so let's just hide this, hide this, hide this. Give this the same color, so something like that. Now we can put our bananas in here. And our bananas can fit in here just fine. No problem. And then I want to see if I can... I'll probably just add some edge loops. Do they go on the whole thing? No, they stop on one side. I'll just add some edge loops here. And then bevel them to get this little... Make it look like wood. So just get the edge loops here. Probably one more. And then just using full R to do that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So you could also just cut this in half and then mirror it again, but I'll just do it this way. No, so I'm working on a Kickstarter where I have these flute commandos. So I made the banana. And now I use the banana for scale in all my videos whenever I need a 32mm reference. And so this is one of the miniatures I made. It's a banana with an AK, like body armor, knee pads and stuff. Anyway, we're just gonna bevel this slightly. Let me just get rid of that. Bevel this slightly. There. And then escape. Oof. That looks rough. Don't like that. Oof. Looking like a mangled mess over at the end here. Oh, thanks. Yeah. I have a bunch of different little commandos. One is a banana, one's a pear, one's a blackberry, one's a... What else is there? Excuse me. banana, berry, pear, apple, lemon, melon, pineapple. So I have 7 in total. The Kickstarter will probably be live sometime soon, the next like 3 weeks. I'm just gonna put these in slightly there, so that mangled mess doesn't really show up. I mean, some of the other ones look pretty cool. The banana's good, but like blackberry with a minigun is also very cool. And so is pear with a shotgun. That one's also very cool. Let me see if this looks any better. Can I get away with it? Yep, I can get away with it. We're just gonna slide. Yeah. I'll just go into edit mode and smooth that out. Maybe make this a little bit wider. Okay. Yeah, it's because like where would you put the eyes in a banana? You know? You could put them up here. You could put them over here. You could put them in the middle of the body. You know, it's really interesting to think about where you would put eyes on a banana. Okay, and then I'm just gonna go ahead and add some edge loops in the middle area. Kind of differentiate those slightly more. I mean, there's a lot of ways you could do this as well. Like you could apply to yeah, I mean, so that's what the melon has a hoodie on. I can probably show some the working progress Blender file for that. Okay, so this looks slightly better. If I add edge loops here and here to each one, that could make them look a little bit more like pieces of wood. I mean, honestly, this boat is almost done. Like, I could add these seats, but I don't really want to add the seats because they'll take away from space that you could put your miniatures in. I think I'm just gonna mirror it again. So I'm just gonna probably just gonna use hard ops or whatever. And just mirror that like that. Perfect. So now you can print this out, put your Vikings in there. I probably will put a post in here. Maybe not. Okay. Well, that's your longboat. If you want to add some posts, you can pretty easily do that by just, you know, adding one of these in there and then, you know, putting a sail. Anyway, let me see if I can show you the melon. It's still a work in progress, so it won't be 100. It's not 100% there, but this is currently what I'm at on the melon. Second's taking a little bit of time to load. Okay, so there's our melon. It's currently high tech. So this melon is the tech guy, kind of like G.I. Joe. He has a drone on his back. And he is going to be... Yeah. So start working on him. Gotta work on this zipper stuff. And he's gonna have a gun. He's gonna have a P90 as well. But that's currently what we're working with. This is the drone. He's gonna have kind of a drone backpack. So I'm doing 2 poses for them. So this is the second pose. Still working on it. Pretty good, right? What else is there? There's another one, which... yeah. I mean, that's what I like. They're very, very high military stuff, but they're still very silly. This one? Let me see if I have this. I'm currently pulling up the pair. This one's also work in progress. He's gonna have a shotgun. I'm gonna import that. So something like this. You know. Yeah, that's exactly what it is. Well, I mean, some of them have body armor, so you know, that's what they use as protection. So yeah, I got 7 of these guys. Currently working on it. And each have their own little different styles. I also made all the weapons, which is pretty much the same way you do the canoe. You just find a good blueprint and just... Oh, there's a... You said you're trying to improve your hard surface stuff, right? There's a video that I used that's really good at learning how to use or getting better at hard surface for like guns. I don't know if you've ever seen it. Let me see. So, here it is. I'm pulling it up just so I can get the... There we go. And here's a good video from somebody else if you want to see how they make guns pretty easily. They're using box cutter and hard ops to make pistols. I pretty much just watched that video and I made all the entirety of the guns for this entire campaign, which is 21 different guns. And there's a bunch of them like the M16, AK-47, M14. Oh, well, yeah, this is modeling. Like, so do you model as well? Or do you do any modeling? Because there was no sculpting involved in the making of these weapons. Yeah, it's really good. That video in particular is a very good way of learning how to, you know, do this stuff. Why don't you not why don't you, but modeling is sorry, sculpting in Blender is very easy. And a very good way to get a lot of detail. Oh, but you do motion animation, so it may like you have to use a lot of vertices, and that's just gonna just like fly a computer when they try to animate it, I assume. Yeah, I'm just gonna add this post here. I'll just make it removable. Excuse me. Up. This is gonna be its banner. Let me look some pictures of sales up. Okay, so there's another post that goes across the top. So I just add a cylinder. Rotate it in the Y 90 degrees. And something like that. This down slightly. Sail over. Yeah. I feel you. I tried to. I mean, literally, what I did for the first, like. I think I started Blender in 2020. Yeah, 2020 is when I started using Blender. And for the first 5-ish years, or first 3-ish years, all I did was make Pokemon, modeled Pokemon, sculpted Pokemon. So I don't know how to use like 80% of the tools in Blender. I pretty much only know how to use basic modeling tools and a lot of the sculpting tools. Like right now, to make this kind of like a bellowing whatchamacallit, sail, I just added a plane, went into sculpt mode, added some vertices using dynamic topology. So that's how it looks like, pretty dense. Back in the sculpt mode. And then I'm just gonna use the smooth tool to smooth some of the edges out a little bit. That. And then we're just gonna use the snake hook tool to kind of move it around a little bit. I'm gonna turn off Seventhly as well. So we're gonna just move this in this dimension like it's flowing using the snake hook tool. Flowing along the post. Dynamic topology. So when you go into sculpt mode, if you go into the tool section and then you go down, there's a section that says dynamic topology. If you turn that on, it will add vertices while you're sculpting. if I bring in a plane, if I bring in a plane, if I go into edit mode, there's 4 vertices and 1 face. If I go into sculpt mode, I can only literally move the vertices in sculpt mode. If I click dynamic topology and I draw using the draw tool, it adds topology automatically. And it will it won't add more on top of what you already have, Lily. Well, it will a little bit. And so now you can literally go around with this. Yeah, it's like adaptive. Well, yeah. And then you can kind of just move it around. And now you see here how you start getting the weird like spirals and artifacts. That's because you're starting to get to the limit of the vertices that you have. So that's when you turn off dynamic topology. So you can turn back on dynamic topology, go into, let's say, the blob brush, set the strength to 0, and then just use that to click on this area. And now you've added more vertices. And then you can go to smooth brush with dynamic topology turned off, smooth that out. You know, go back and forth. And now you have this little wave. So that's normally what I do. Yeah. So basically what I do is I go in and then go into sculpt mode, set a fairly low level of resolution with the blob tool on 0 strength. And then I turn off dynamic topology. And then I start modeling. And usually you don't need as many vertices as you think you need to make something that looks well for a miniature. So this is kind of bellowing in the wind against that. And now we can go with our sculpt tool, draw, and then we can add some kind of like wind things. So this is going that way. So it's probably pushing the fabric this way. So just use your draw tool to make these general shapes, general lines following the fabric. That. Kind of. Yep. And I do this at 5 strength or so. Yep, like that. And then you can go in with the smooth tool. Let me just go in the negative. And then you can make these a little bit more defined by using the draw tool in the negative dimension. That. Make these folds a little bit more thematic. Something like that. And then these look a little extreme right now. But then we're just going to use the smooth tool to smooth them out a little bit. Increase this length a little bit. And now they look a little bit more realistic. Then we're just gonna add a color to this. We're just gonna flip this around. Just rotate it RZ 90 degrees. And then we're gonna use our go into sculpting tool again. And then just move this up like that. This down and over. So it kind of looks a little bit more like it's moving in the wind. Something like that. And then I'm just gonna size it all in the X slightly. Because that's not thick enough to be printed. But now it is. Okay. And then for these areas here, I'm just gonna go back with dynamic topology with my blob brush at 0 strength. And then I'm just going to go ahead and smooth that sides. All right. Thank you for coming to the stream. I hope you enjoyed it. I'll see you next time too. Alright, and I'm getting off as well. So thank you everybody who came and watched. If you watched this, I hope you learned something or just enjoyed your time. Have a good day.